Welcome back to the Tournament of the Storm. Here we have our final game between excuse me, I'm trying to say between team. It's coming out Team Orange, sporting the blue pieces. Playing, let's see, Darth Raven playing Diablo, Shadow Sheila on Ragnaros, Turtle Soup played by Gul'dan, or rather vice versa. Saturn playing Brightwing, Luxibo playing Leoric.
10 seconds.
On the red side, we have Psycho playing Falstad, Artemis playing Tassadar, Fairy Sunbeam on Joanna, Thendis on Blaze, and Cody Sparks on Anduin. This team, Leoric Jenkins, just pulled off a win in the very last game, whereas Team Orange won the first one. Both teams now have an opportunity to move forward into the semifinals. The winner of this game gets to go, and the loser... Actually, the loser has a chance to come back if they happen to lose slightly less than the other pair-up that we have in the tournament. If they do slightly better in the loss, then they will have an opportunity to play the third team, or our fifth team, who would otherwise have a bye, and the tournament organizers just felt like it would be a little bit more fair that way. Looks like Team Leoric Jenkins opting for a 5-man gank on bottom, not making any particular progress on that. Blaze taking the top lane, and Joanna at middle. So you can see they actually have 2 tanks on Team Leoric Jenkins. Both Blaze and Joanna are largely considered to be the best tanks in the game. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that's more frequently banned. Not Muradin. Not a Nubarak. I don't know, if you could think of any, let me know. Team Leoric Jenkins going for an early effort to get their siege camp, not to be outdone. Team Orange taking theirs as well. Blaze and Ragnaros duking it out over here. It looks like Blaze might have a slight advantage. They are just about done over here with the east siege camp, and the west one gets taken in similar fashion. A little bit of a fight potentially brewing here in the middle lane. Falstad going forward. Joanna. Such a good tank. She has a shield, and she has it unstoppable, and she has a blind. All 3 methods for getting away with whatever she wants. Falstad taking a lot of damage from Leoric's Drain Hope ability. Well, a potential fight brewing here. Looks like the Team Leoric Jenkins is going for their siege camp. Nobody's here. Well, Joanna's here. Looks like is she going to try and get these siege camps down? It looks like not, so they're going to get a little bit of free damage there. She looks to be all alone, but she can probably handle herself for a couple seconds while the rest of her team manages to take that siege camp down. Falstad opting to go home. Or maybe not. He cancels his Hearthstone and he goes for Leoric, and Drain Hope does even more damage to him now. Finally convinced after being reduced to 100 health. It is time to go home. Leoric is going to be able to push that bottom lane a little bit while they're waiting for Falstad to come back. The first seed has appeared in the southeast part of the map. Team Leoric Jenkins gets the first go at it, but Team Orange is congregating just to the west of the objective, ready to come in and menace this other team. Drain Hope going off on Joanna. Anduin, not sure what attacked him, but he's not at a lot of health, just a 400. Fortunately, he's a healer. He can heal himself right back up. Falstad trying to put a little bit of pressure, but it looks like he might be a little bit alone. There comes Joanna from the bottom. Again, very few heroes could comfortably just waltz in before other players and be completely safe. Still at nearly 2,000 health there, just taking a little bit of damage, but she is totally willing to be the face of the wall of Team Leoric Jenkins. Team Orange now kind of forced to retreat from the seed, and it looks like Joanna's going to be able to pick up the first one for Team Leoric Jenkins. Congratulations to them. That's very nice. Very nice. Tassadar taking this bottom lane. He's going to be able to soak that. And it looks like they might get some counter pressure there. Leoric put a little bit of damage over here. Tassadar's going to put a little damage over here. We have a tit-for-tat situation. Diablo. Not a lot of damage on Diablo, but he nonetheless has decided to start taking the Bruiser camp in a steal move. Perhaps realizing that's a bad idea and then moving away from that. We have 4 members of Team Leoric Jenkins covering the middle lane. Falstad choosing to go bottom, and the rest of them choosing to go top to take this Bruiser camp. Little did they know that the lingering smell of Diablo is here just a minute earlier. Ragnaros, I don't know if he saw that team going for the Bruiser camp, or if he did, perhaps he knew. correctly that one fiery noodle boy is not going to be able to take out, or is not going to be able to contest 3 enemy heroes for Butcher Camp. There might be some heroes that could do that. Maybe Orphea. I think who's really good against a lot of targets. Malthael is, but he is not tanky enough to sustain that. Probably nobody. Probably nobody, especially at early game. Team Leoric Jenkins opting to take their siege camp instead of going straight for objective, but Blaze is there to keep things real, to keep things hot. Both Joanna and Blaze, 2 tanks, giving the harass on these 3 enemy heroes on Team Orange. And they're tanky, so if anyone can do it, they can. But Joanna losing quite a bit of health. Blaze not looking particularly healthy either, but they're managing to put a lot of damage, especially as their damage comes back into the fight. Both Tassadar and Falstad putting in a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Leoric, probably healing fountain for him. Yep, he's going to just go ahead and take that. Diablo taking a little bit of damage from the lightning rod on Falstad. Joanna moving right in. I think Leoric is the target, and Tassadar goes for him, and the blind. No, the blind did hit him, but it was Falstad that got the last hit, and Tassadar manages to take out the Diablo. So it looks like a slight early game lead. Yeah, they have their 10s for Team Leoric Jenkins, the winners of the very last game. They're doing the perfect thing here. Joanna managing to get all the aggro on these things while Tassadar takes the 2nd seed. That's 2-0 for Team Leoric Jenkins. Playing a very tight match. And Team Orange managing to take their siege camp up top. If there's nothing to reinforce it, Blaze can take it, but look like Ragnaros is sticking with it. Perhaps that will give him the edge over Blaze that he has been seeking this whole game. We've got Falstad trying to push the bottom thing, but both Leoric and Gul'dan come to make him suffer for it. Is there going to be an ult? Leoric is level 10, so we might see a wall. Take the wall build. Here's the talent breakdown. No, he took March of the Black King, which is actually the less popular talent. But still, it's still extremely effective, especially if your enemies are hiding together in tight clusters. Perhaps it's for that reason that he is not afraid to get right into the middle of the enemy team and do some damage. Of course, he's reinforced by Diablo. There's a siege camp here supporting Team Leoric Jenkins, but also for Team Orange, both teams very good at getting their camps. There goes the Gul'dan Fear, splitting up 3 members of Team Leoric Jenkins, but that's not exactly what you want if you have a Leoric using March of the Black King. He's going to go ahead and try and chase down that Falstad. Falstad just barely getting back. Oh my gosh. They so nearly took out a couple of these Team Leoric members, but instead, Tassadar manages to kill both Brightwing and Ragnaros in what is looking like a bit of a snowball in the early game for Team Leoric Jenkins. Team Orange still has their middle camp. That might be able to get some siege damage on that middle fort there. Diablo doing his best to be scary, but with only, a couple thousand health. He is not as scary as he'd like to be. Leoric taking the Chastise, but smacking people with his bop nonetheless. He's not afraid, especially while Drain Hope is active. He regenerates so much health. But he knows when it's time to back away, especially when 4 enemy team members start baring their fangs. They're coming in. Anduin puts the stun on Leoric. It just occurred to me that is an incredibly confusing naming convention. Team Orange has Leoric, and he's playing against Team Leoric Jenkins. I will try to keep track of those 2 things. Team Orange did manage to get the Joanna kill, though. Is she playing Gambit? Here's Joanna. Her level 1 talent is Shield Bearer, an additional charge and 75% more damage, so she's not playing Gambit. I don't think anyone else is. The only active quest there are a couple. The only level 1 active quest is for Gul'dan, who needs to hit people with his Corruption, which is his E. Puts out 3 pools of sadness, and you can see that Anduin just got hit by 2 of them there. So he went for 33 to 35 progress on that quest. Joanna just being as annoying as possible down there. Meanwhile, Falstad going all in on the Brightwing while another separate team fight emerges over to the east, and Meatball chasing Blaze doing a little bit of damage, and now Falstad potentially out of position, but he's a bird. He should be totally fine. The next seed coming up in about 15 seconds, and it's going to be right here where Team Leoric Jenkins has the advantage. Joanna doing some harass. Team Leoric Jenkins coming in from the north. The Gul'dan ult goes in and scatters them, but it is to no avail. The Diablo goes down in addition to the Brightwing. And with no healer and with no tank, Tassadar able to walk all over that Ragnaros. And they're putting in some siege damage here. Oh, but there it is. So Anduin getting caught out and taking so much damage. That Diablo. Excellent move from him. Pulling the Anduin over, pushing him into the turret. Flex tape can't fix that. The seed is active. Falstad opting to go in and take out this bottom fort, which is probably the right move given that the rest of this team can just delay this. So if they can take a fort and then take the seed, that'll give them all the more lane pressure when they finally get around to it. Joanna, Blaze, and Tassadar guarding the seed. Brightwing linking in to help their Leoric, who goes in all the way but is just too late to stop them from getting the seed. It is now a 3-on-2, maybe a 3-on-3. Brightwing appears to be running away. No, he's offering his support from behind. Lots of damage going in on that Tassadar, who then gets polymorphed. But none of their biggest damage dealers are there to follow up and capitalize on the kills. And meanwhile, these shambling monstrosities are able to go in and put in the siege damage to their contentment. I mentioned earlier in Tomb of the Spider Queen that the spiders lose health for every second that they're on the map. I would be remiss to not say that Falstad did indeed just kill Ragnaros there. By contrast, these plant monsters lose health every time they use a basic attack. So it's a similar concept. They will never last forever. But they certainly do a lot of damage on the way to the enemy team. Falstad fighting Diablo as an equal, and the AoE is going to keep him from getting in. Of course, the Falstad managing to pick that up. That is such unfortunate timing for that Diablo. I feel bad, but maybe that was calculated on the part of Falstad. Not a lot of mana left, but he can certainly throw in a lot of basic attacks while the rest of his team takes over that middle fort. Another AoE from the big plant. What are they called? Do they have names? I'm sure they have names. I don't know. I always call them the big plants. Gul'dan sucking a little bit of health from that Joanna. She doesn't care. She's Joanna. Falstad looks to be going home. He can probably get back in really quickly. There's the Anduin. Manages to stun some Leoric Jenkins, but it's not enough. It's not enough. They managed to kill the Ragnaros. Two of them in the bunker there. Now both of them. Bunker fully evacuated. Will they go back in? No. They leave it. They leave the bunker to die. Team Leoric Jenkins putting on so much pressure on this enemy team. Now going to steal their bruiser camp, of course. Team Orange knows it, and they're not going to part with this without a fight. It's very imperative that they stop the snowball now. Their levels are still similar. It's 16 to 17, so they have a fight. They have a fighting chance in all these fights. It's Joanna holding the line, desperately trying to stay in to get the mercenary camp, but she pays for it with her life, as she should. As she should. Just not quite enough support from this bleeding Team Leoric Jenkins, these three heroes here, who have to retreat. This gives Team Orange just a little bit of breathing room. Just a little bit of breathing room. And Ragnaros covering the top. This dynamic trio from Team Leoric Jenkins, both covering this bottom set of mercenaries while taking a set for themselves. Meanwhile, Team Orange taking their the siege camp. I just want to say these teams are so good about taking their camps. They understand the importance of mercenaries, and they're not going to lose the game because they neglected to take their camps. This ain't no quick match game. Blaze taking another siege camp. There's just one camp left on the field. Falstad all alone, but totally able to handle himself because he has wings. A little bit of harass from Leoric, but it appears that Leoric Jenkins' team has the advantage over here on this side. They are slowly migrating down. Don't want to let that Ragnaros get the seed. So they do their best to kick him off. Diablo throws the Joanna behind him, but he himself is the one in the most danger. There goes the Anduin ult, stunning both him and Brightwing. I think both of them might go down. The Falstad getting behind the Ragnaros, taking him out. Diablo just 100 health left. He goes down. The Gul'dan as well. Can Leoric do it? The march of the Skeleton King through to the middle of the base, but unfortunately he only gets one charge of it. Can he get out? He's ghosting away. Falstad chases him, and the Tassadar beam as well. Then to chase him down. That is a full team wipe. Diablo back, I think because of his trait. Yeah, he's 27 souls now. I think means that his trait brought him back. I think he died, but there was a lot happening in that fight. I don't necessarily remember. There's some pretty good lane pressure here from the top, and Diablo goes down. The Tassadar wall keeps him from escaping, and there goes the keep. They could seriously go for the core now. They have the support of both a catapult and 2 siege minions, and none of the enemy team is up. They'll be able to break the shield before the enemy team even manages to get back in. And the first contender is Brightwing, not the most menacing hero. I mean, he's got a polymorph. He can turn you into a sheep, but it only lasts for a second. The core is just a 14,000 health. Just 10,000. Lost a third of its health there in just a moment. They're going for it. Team Orange managing to pick up a kill. 2 kills, but it's going to be enough. No, not with all the siege pressure. Rot by Team Leoric Jenkins, who lost their first game in what was, I think, it was a nearly 35-minute game. And they lost that first one to Team Orange, but Team Orange unable to get another victory. And that means Team Leoric Jenkins qualifies to go forward into the semifinals. Meanwhile, Team Orange, actually, I'm looking at the tournament statistics. It looks like they're going to be able to go forward and play against the High Inquisitors, because they won one of their games and the other pair won 2-0. So because they won their first game, they get a chance to enter the semifinals again, but they have to beat the High Inquisitors, who are fresh and ready for a fight. Thank you very much for watching. This is the last replay that I have to stream as a result of losing my recordings from yesterday. So that covers all of the games that I casted yesterday. It was a really fun tournament, and I'm glad to have been able to take part in it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and all these videos will be available on YouTube for any of the teams that go in, that want to go in and rewatch and see how they did with their performance. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great Sunday.